There's lots of different currencies that we use today, and they're all printed by governments. And because of that, they will not survive. And they steal wealth from you through inflation. Whenever they print money, whenever money is created out of nothing, your value of your savings goes down, the value of your labor goes down. So now, when you save in that local currency of whatever nation you're at, that value of that money drops. All these currencies out there, all your national currencies are actually backed up by the US dollars. Well, back when the United States won World War II, they got all the countries to back up their currency with US dollars. Why is that? Because of the Bretton Woods agreement, where all of them were backed up by the US dollar, because the US dollar was good as gold back then, $35 an ounce for gold. And then Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. Now, today, all currencies are floating, but they're still backed up by US dollars. And to really truly understand it, when you purchase any commodity, such as oil, such as corn, such as anything that's on the commodities exchange, it has to be purchased in US dollars. This is the rule of global trade. They created these crazy loans to cause the financial system to collapse, and they knew very well, and they even created these systems in place where that if I collapse, you collapse, he collapses, everyone was going to fail. And this is where Satoshi got mad and created Bitcoin, because he saw this. Bitcoin will have the real value because people will understand, well, wait a second, this system's not working. This one does work. Why does it work? It keeps going up in value. Why does it keep going up in value? Well, it's because, we keep printing more money. You might ask the question, well, why do they buy the loans? It's because there's more loans in the system than there is money. Our system requires an infinite growth in loans forever. Well, that's not sustainable, even if we did it properly. This system has to grow in an exponential growth, because there's more debt in the system than there is money. And whenever we pay off our debts, money disappears. Whenever we go more in debt, there's more money getting created. As interest rates increase, there's less and less money in the system, because people are actually taking that money and buying debts, which actually just makes the money disappear. So for example, if you pay off your debt, money disappears. You pay off your loan on your house, money disappears. When you pay back those assets to the Federal Reserve, so for example, when I was saying the Federal Reserve is creating money to buy those debts so they could have more money in the system, well, the reason why they're doing that is because people are paying off their debts and there's not much more money left. The problem is that would mean that the banks would have to collapse in order to have that deflationary situation, because they've all went too far into debt beyond what they can manage. Because now, if those assets deflate in value, when they sell them in order to get the money, in order to pay off the debt, they can't. Or if they do, they take a loss. That money disappears over and over and again as they continue taking losses and paying off the debts, reducing the money supply even more, which becomes like a self-sustaining dynamic down the drain. So if the banks fail, the whole system collapses like a black hole. If the bank were to actually fail, yes, that would begin the whole process of our whole financial system falling into a black hole where all the money just disappears. And only thing that works is cash. Meaning all those banks, all those businesses that had cash there, sorry, no. Right? You have no cash now, right? That's gone to pay off all the bad debt. Yeah, it continues like that. And then the value of those assets, as they sell them off in order to pay off all the bad debt, drops to other values, which causes other banks to fail, because their values have dropped, causing more bank failures over and over again as a domino effect. So instead of letting that happen, where we have a deflationary cycle down, you just print more money and create more money into the system. All the dollars are controlled. Every single dollar, every digital dollar that exists outside the United States or inside the United States is completely controlled. Same with any treasury notes. It's completely controlled. You can't effectively purchase a physical treasury note like you could back in the 80s, because there's a lot of fear in the market that if I leave my money in the bank, this is not going to work out. Whilst Bitcoin has fixed supply. A lot of people understand that, and the rules are fixed, and the government can't shoot anybody just to change the rule. There's a good chance, right, that you'll be like, oh shoot, I should have bought some Bitcoin. I never saw that coming. Because there's a high probability that the United States just, boom, cuts off all U.S. debt and defaults on their debt. And that is effectively a default. If all money outside of the United States becomes worthless, and then their debt ceiling drops, of course, because now most of the owners of U.S. Treasury notes is outside of the United States, you will regret the day you did not buy Bitcoin in 2023. International trade runs off of dollars. And if all of your dollars that you have in your bank account are frozen and you have a shipment coming in and you need to pay, what you going to do? You can't pay in a local currency because there is no agreement trade. And on top of that, your local currency is backed up by the US dollar. So there's going to be turmoil and fluctuation of that. There's no real value, no clear value of that. But people know what the rules are in Bitcoin. They don't know the rules of your local currency. After this, you could change the rules of whatever you want, but they can't change the rules of Bitcoin. And so can you imagine if a shipment comes in and they say, okay, well, give us Bitcoin. Well, I don't have any Bitcoin. Well, you must have some assets to sell it in order to buy some Bitcoin. Yeah, I got some houses and stuff like that. I guess I'll just trade that directly for some Bitcoin because it's not traded for dollars. You can see how it can go to millions of dollars. Yes, well, hyperinflation is the end result of all currencies, fiat currencies. We've had a history of that. I believe the total amount of hyperinflations were around 3,600 and some odd. And most of them actually occurred in China, because China was the first country to ever use fiat monetary system before the rest of the world did. And this is the first time in history of all the world's history, over the 5,000 years of written history that we do have, that the whole world has been on a fiat system, every single one of us. Never occurred before. So that means hyperinflation now would be very catastrophic financially. Hyperinflation has occurred in smaller nations here right now. What are you pricing it against in order to know that there's hyperinflation? You're pricing against another asset, which happens to be the dollar. It's hyperinflating against the dollar because the dollar is worth more. Well, it'll be hyperinflating against Bitcoin. Get it? That's the whole point. You wouldn't see the hyperinflation. If it wasn't going to another asset, you won't see the hyperinflation. Imagine if the US actually does what it does. That's exactly where the world would just move immediately to Bitcoin and other cryptos rapidly, right? Because when it becomes money, you won't have to use dollars. You'll be able to buy stuff directly. I believe probably in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to be using it. We're actually doing it right now. It's just not on a daily basis where people are like, okay, every single person is receiving payment in Bitcoin. Because right now I do pay a lot of my employees in Bitcoin and they're happy with that. But it's priced against the dollar. So for example, they have a dollar price that they're receiving and then I pay them in Bitcoin. But there will be a day where I'll be giving them a fixed price in Bitcoin.